Hey guys, it's Andrea with Sucs For You in Houston, Texas, and we are all set. We're actually going to make this happen. We are propagating the Booby cactus, and I have been telling y'all this is going to happen for a while now, but today's the day. um, and this is a Myrtillocactus geometrizans. The cultivar name is a little difficult to say. It is Fukurokuryuzinboku. Fukurokuryuzinboku. I've heard it said a lot of different ways. Originally I started just saying it like how it's spelled, which is Fukurokuryuzinboku. So if you want to just call it Booby cactus, that's fine. It is a monstrous form, a Japanese cultivar of Myrtillocactus geometrizans. I started this about 3 years ago. The main plant itself was just, I believe it got some sunburn. I was tired of looking at it. So I chopped, and then I chopped again, and I chopped again because it was really tall. And so this is the top, this is the base, and then these other two cuttings were middle sections of the main plant. So from one plant we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we can continue. I think, I don't see why these still wouldn't push out some more little baby cactus, but what's going to happen is if you leave them potted up, chop it, and then new growth will come from one of the aerials, like these are. So we are going to start so we can say that we actually got this done, and I'm really excited. I've got a sharp knife, I've got rooting hormone powder, and I've decided that I do want to leave these potted. I think I'm going to chop this one. We'll see what we do about that, because remember, this was the top of the main old plant. And please, this is a mother of thousands. I know they're crazy, and I pulled a whole bunch of them out of my other pots, but I really like this one. This is the chandelier variety, and they don't drop as many babies as all the other ones do, but we'll probably take that out eventually too and throw it in the yard somewhere. Okay, here we go. Alright, so we are cutting right there, and then we'll probably take a little more of that old growth off at the top. Hopefully I can leave them potted up while we do this. They're pretty thick and corky at the base, which is good, but it might be a little tough. I would love to know, like, anyone who propagates thick plants, especially caudex, what tools, what type of knives or blades do you use? Like, I'm thinking the Sawzall would be great for some stuff that I have. I just try to get a clean cut without messing everything up. It can be pretty difficult. And cutting with, like, I might have to bust out some scissors once I get it. To get it most of the way through. This is a really sharp knife, and I'm struggling. I'm pushing down, I'm trying not to get like too wild with it. I don't want to flip the pot. Let's give it a little bit on this side, sawing. And I don't want to cut up to my face. I'm trying to keep the blade away from me. Patience, patience. So I'm just gonna go ahead and grab some like scissors, and then I can clean the cut up if it doesn't have like a clean cut once I use the scissors. Actually, I have some pruning shears right here, so let's just make a quick job of it. Boom, done. Okay, come over here. Boom, done. That's so much easier. Okay, I was worried that these wouldn't be sharp enough, but I have a really nice clean cut on that. Okay, for the big one, you can see that I've just kind of used it as a trellis for some. This is like a climbing, a vining Cilantro boverdii. It's also called Widow's Thrill, Bovaard's Widow's Thrill Cilantro. Just didn't really have anywhere else to put it. And then there's this variegated apuncha that just like, it grows so weird. I cannot for the life of me get it to stack. It always wants to lay down. So we're just gonna let that lay down there. Here's where we're cutting. Right here. And I'm just gonna get cut to the chase. Hold that there. looks good. Okay, here we go. Pop. Better grip. Oh my gosh, it's tough. Okay. Yeah, that was good. That looks good. Alright. There she is. Freedom! Now, I'm going to take my rooting powder. I'm going to just dip these little guys, the cut in there. And just for like a day or two, I'm just going to leave them out. I'm going to let them sit in a box or something. Yeah, I have a good box for that. And then afterwards, after a few days, probably dab on a little bit more of this rooting powder. And get some, this pot just has drainage materials in it, no soil, and it's dry, right? So they'll just be chilling in a pot of drainage materials for a few months. And in that time, we want to make sure that they're not getting like blasted by the sun, they're not getting super hot. We do have summer right around the corner. Hopefully they have some roots down by then so I can start watering them. But otherwise, no water, or else they'll just rot after all that time and all those years. They're gonna rot. Okay. So no new growth is gonna come out of this guy right here if I don't chip away at some of the old growth. I mean, me removing this one could encourage some new growth out of the other areas or in the region, but I don't think it's going to, and I don't think these are going to be a good tool for cutting. So I guess I could remove this and then chop it all, or I could just start like, oh, that worked nice. Here. So I just sliced up. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to slice off the old aerial. See that? That came off so smoothly. And just see what happens. I bet it will encourage new growth either down here. In fact, since we were able to cut that so easily, I'm going to go all the way around. This one is going to be tougher because that's where the growth was coming in. Yeah. It's just, and then once I get some of this whittled away, I'm going to cut the top off. I'm like laughing. This one's really hard. You don't want to come off, fine. Okay, so it's plan B. We're just going to try and go straight across. Going to try and keep all of our fingers. No blood. It's interesting how much tougher that growth is on just on the side where the plant was coming in. Bro. I'm trying to make a video. Can you cooperate? Okay, we're gonna try lower down. Oh, that's nice right there. Okay. Oh, there you go. Sweet. Wait, I'm kind of glad you couldn't see my face just then. I was just like, okay. So we're gonna do the same thing with the other little babies. I will. Just for fun, we could dust this, leave this chunk somewhere and see what happens. Literally just like rolling it in the powder, set it to the side, and we'll dab a little of this on top. And I have sulfur powder too, but I believe this is supposed to also help against like fungal issues or pathogens getting in there. We'll see, right? Okay, you know what? We're just gonna do it. I might make a mess pulling this cilantro out. We made a mess, but it's out. Don't have to worry about that anymore. Just looking for a place to put it about right there. It's in a little basket now. And yes, ignore that. Ignore the dirt on the table. Okay. I'm gonna leave these two potted. I'm gonna give it the same treatment as the base of the other one. We're going to... Nice, so easy. Chop the top. Hope that encourages new growth at other aerials. Let me try and do it this way. Yep. Easy peas. Much easier to chop where down there instead of where that growth was coming in. Up, 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 up. This is why we do this outside. Really pack on that powder. And I mean, see how it's all like corky and stuff down there? If I want, you know what, let's just go ahead. We're gonna chop that above the corky part and try and, you know, grow out a big new cleaner looking plant with signs of less history. We have blazing hot summers here. And I'm just assuming, let's see, let's go right. This is nice. Very easy to cut right here. It's like butter, okay? So this is nice, new, clean growth for the most part. There's a little bit of little imperfections. Powder it up, pop it over here. Just let it hang out in this jar, or in this pot, or again, you can just lay them in like a cardboard box, or, you know, shove some paper towels down inside of something. You do want them to like eventually be resting until they put roots in the position that you want them to be growing in. So we now have 4 bases to start producing new growth. The big one down there, these right here, and as I said, it's going to be months before we get any roots, anything like anything worth discussing again, but I will definitely keep you posted and find a bigger pot for this guy. But again, for now, I'm just going to put him, I have a little box. Little box right here. Just lay it down, let it chill. Right now we're under my pergola, so there's some, it's overcast today anyways, and it will be for like a few days. And it probably won't start getting like really hot until mid-April or May, but we will still see some heat. I guarantee you we'll be in the late 80s and 90s by, I would say, late April or May. Maybe not every day, but it's gonna get up there. So again, we want to make sure, actually I should mention, I watered these like 2 days ago. And ideally you want to give it a little more time after watering before you start propagating stuff. Some people argue against that and say you want them to be thirsty, so they start putting out roots sooner. But just in my experience, I just personally think it's better to propagate a hydrated plant. Because if something goes wrong, if they're not actively growing, it's going to take a really, really long time for them to put roots out. And if they're struggling to like stay hydrated and they feel, you know, they feel stressed, they just might not put out any roots. So after these are totally calloused over, right, you can put them in some soil and you can give it like the teeniest little bit of water. And I say that because I think it kind of like helps the plant like sniff out water in the area, and maybe it starts like sending out roots. Just my own personal theory. And to check and see if there's roots. Again, you're not going to have any organic soil in. It's just going to be drainage materials until I can leave these in drainage materials for probably forever, as long as like watered and fed them appropriately. And it's a nice mix of drainage materials, so they are going to be getting some nutrition from it. But if you wanted, you could do 40% organic soil to your drainage materials, pot them up in that, check for roots. Just how are you going to check for roots? You're going to like pull up the plant and see if there's roots. Hopefully, but I doubt it. But hopefully, like it'll resist, give you some resistance, so you know those roots are like actually holding it down. But that's going to take like a really long time, months and months instead of just months. But you know, we have patience. I've waited to do this for 3 years, so I can wait another year to really have like a rooted established plant. Alright guys, that's it. Thank you for being patient with me. I don't even know how many times I've mentioned like, oh yeah, I should get around to propagating that. And but we're here now and we did it together, and that's the most important part, right? Yeah. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Oh, and buy my book. I never promote myself. I wrote the book, The Succulent Manual, A Guide to Care and Repair for All Climates. It's super thorough. It's got a lot of really good reviews, and I've heard a lot of people tell me this actually like saved so many of my really special plants. It starts out with just kind of the basic tips and what to expect. Propagation tips on depending on like where you are like in the world, what kind of climate do you have, what are you dealing with. The book covers like how to adjust your care needs to your plants to keep them happy. There is a second edition out that has a very in-depth section on grow lights and overwintering. Overwintering also means bringing them back out and waking them back up without killing them. So again, the Succulent Manual, A Guide to Care and Repair for All Climates. Keep an eye out for the second edition. And that's also available as an ebook and available at sucsforyou.com. You can read it online. It's interactive, all that fun stuff. So there we go. There's my book promo. Check it out. If you've already read it, please leave me a review on Amazon. It's super duper 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 helpful. Okay, and that's it. Thanks guys.